Right, hello. We are in John's Gospel. We're going to finish chapter 4, I think, possibly. We'll read from 43 onwards in the ESV as usual. Well, first of all, 43 to 45. We'll read that first. After 2 days, Jesus departed for Galilee, for Jesus himself had testified that a prophet has no honour in his own hometown. So when he came to Galilee, the Galileans welcomed him, having seen all that he had done in Jerusalem at the feast. For they too had gone to the feast. Now Jesus saying this is reported up in some of the other Gospels as well, about a prophet not being welcome or recognised in his own hometown. And we see here that the people who seem to find it hardest to believe in Jesus were those in Jerusalem, particularly the religious leaders. Whereas we've just seen the people in Samaria welcomed him. And here the people in Galilee welcome him. Now why is that? The other people, they saw Jesus from a human perspective, purely human perspective. Oh, he's Joseph's son. And there was something a bit odd about the birth there. He's just a carpenter's son. Who is he? He can't be anyone special. As we know, Jesus was someone very special. He's the Son of God. Where people in Samaria and Galilee were less encumbered by such preconceptions. So he was welcomed. And they'd seen what he had done in Jerusalem. Anyway, let's go on to 46. So he came again to Cana in Galilee, where he had made water into wine. And at Capernaum, there was an official whose son was ill. When this man heard that Jesus had come from Judea to Galilee, he went to him and asked him to come down and heal his son, for he was at the point of death. So Jesus said to him, "Unless you see signs and wonders, you will not believe." The official said to him, "Sir, come down before my child dies." Jesus said to him, "Go, your son will live." The man believed the word that Jesus said and went on his way. And he was going down. As he was going down, his servants met him and told him his son was recovering. So he asked them the hour when he began to get better. And they said to him, "Yesterday at the 7th hour. That's when the fever left him." The father knew that was the hour when Jesus had said to him, "Your son will live." And he himself believed, and all his household. And this was now the second sign that Jesus did when he had come from Judea to Galilee. Anyway, first of all, one thing about this incident. You probably remember that it's an incident where Jesus heals the son of a centurion, the servant of a centurion. I think it's in Luke chapter 7. The centurion comes to Jesus and says, "My servant's ill," and Jesus offers to go with him. But the centurion says, no, there's no need for that. One word from you and he'll be healed. Now, there's some vague similarities, but some theologians who are complete idiots try to say these are the same incident. I thought it never crossed my mind. There's differences. And let me just give you an illustration. 2022 football season, 21-22 football season. Carabao Cup final in England, or the League Cup final. Who played? Chelsea. Liverpool played Chelsea. 0-0 after half-time. Liverpool win on penalties. FA Cup final, same year. Liverpool played Chelsea. 0-0 after extra time. Liverpool win on penalties. These loonies, and there's no other word for them, who would say that these two, there's the same incident, just retelling of the same incident, would say there was only one match, following their logic. And there are two matches, just happen to have some similarities. And there are key differences here. One, the official is almost certainly Jewish. Two, he wants Jesus to come to his son, initially at least. And it's his son, not a servant. There are differences, there are different stories. But anyway, let's look at the stories. First of all, Jesus says, "Unless you see signs and wonders, you'll never believe." And yet we see Jesus did do signs and wonders. So what can we learn from this? Well, a wrong lesson is, oh, we shouldn't have signs and wonders. Well, Jesus kept on doing signs and wonders, and they continued in Acts. So there's nothing wrong with signs and wonders. But we should also look beyond them. We shouldn't just look at the sign and wonder, at the miracle, whatever it is that's happened. We need to look beyond it to the God who healed, the God who does them, and to increase our faith and trust in him. It's also interesting that initially the man came, he went to him and asked him to come down and see his son. And said, come down before my child dies. Then Jesus said to him, go, your son will live. And the man believed Jesus and went back home. And obviously then discovered his son had indeed been healed at that very moment. So he came with a lack of faith. But then he heard the word of Jesus, and he believed the word of Jesus, and he became a man of faith. Sometimes when we approach God, we approach with very little faith. The man here had sufficient faith that Jesus can sort my problem. But he believed that Jesus had to actually come and see the son. And that didn't need to happen. But he went with this very limited amount of faith. And sometimes we approach God with a very limited degree of faith. But we should still approach God. Oh, I haven't got enough faith yet to approach God. If you've got an ounce of faith, we've got enough faith in order to approach God, approach Jesus. And then one word from Jesus can change our hearts and minds, as it did with this official here. He believed him, he went back, and then discovered that his son had indeed been healed. And then it says, and he himself, the official that is, believed, and all his household believed. So he went with a little bit of faith, and this faith grew. So sometimes we will approach God with just a tiny bit of faith and an awful lot of doubt swimming around in our minds. But we should act on the little bit of faith that we have and go and approach God. And approaching God is a two-way process. It's not just us doing stuff and asking and praying and the rest of it. God acts as well. And that changes the whole situation. Amen.